Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment walking into your home, a space that should be sacred, a place of peace, rest, and comfort. What if, unbeknownst to you, there are hidden forces at work in your home, forces that are not of the light but of darkness? These forces are subtle, quiet, and insidious. You might not even realize they're there. They've crept into your sanctuary, and with every day that passes, they grow stronger, affecting the atmosphere, your thoughts, and even your well-being. This isn't just a wild theory. This is the reality for many people who unknowingly harbor objects in their homes that open the door to spiritual danger. We all know the importance of creating a peaceful, secure environment for our families. Our homes should be places where we can recharge, heal, and build our lives. However, when certain objects are present in your home, they could be doing the opposite. They could be silently destroying everything you've worked to build. These are not just things, they are vessels. They carry with them something far more dangerous than we could ever imagine. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could a mere object have that kind of power? The answer lies in the energy that objects can accumulate over time. It's not just the physical item, but the symbolism, the history, and the intentions attached to it. Whether you realize it or not, these objects hold potential to heal or harm, to invite peace or destruction. Some objects are powerful enough to affect the very spiritual climate of your home. It's time to take action. It's time to examine your surroundings with fresh eyes and recognize the hidden dangers. You see, not all objects in your home are just harmless decorations or gifts. Some have a far more sinister history. It is time to remove the demonic objects that could be influencing your life without you even knowing it. Let's start with something simple, objects tied to occult practices. Many people unknowingly bring occult items into their homes. These might come in the form of statues, charms, or figurines that seem innocent at first. They might have a decorative appeal, or you may have bought them out of curiosity. But what you don't know is that these objects often carry with them energies from the cultures or rituals they were associated with. Whether it's a figure from a voodoo tradition, a talisman meant to ward off evil spirits, or a simple idol, these objects serve as channels for spiritual energies that may not be benign. You might be thinking, but I didn't mean anything by it. The intent behind acquiring an object doesn't always determine the energy it brings. The fact that these objects were created and used with a specific spiritual purpose ties them to forces that go beyond your understanding. Even if you are unaware of the origins, the object still retains that connection. And once it enters your home, it becomes a doorway for these energies to enter your life. Next, consider items with negative historical significance. History is full of dark and disturbing events, wars, tragedies, and unthinkable acts. Some of the items that come from these periods carry with them the remnants of that pain and suffering. An antique item or a relic from a time of violence or tragedy can bring an aura of negativity with it because it holds the energy of its past. Think of a piece of furniture or an old heirloom that has been passed down through generation. The emotional residue from past owners, especially if the item was involved in painful circumstances, can linger and affect your home. This doesn't mean that every antique is dangerous, but you must ask yourself, where did this item come from? What has it been through? Has it been exposed to dark or harmful energy before? Even seemingly harmless objects like old jewelry or paintings could be linked to spirits that refuse to let go of the past. And without even realizing it, these energies can infest your space, creating disharmony and disturbance in your life. Another key area to consider is objects with strong symbolic connections. Objects like pentagrams, crystals used in occult practices, or dream catchers might be popular in various cultures, but they hold very specific spiritual meanings. While some people view them as harmless or even protective, others see them as invitations to spiritual forces that can be more harmful than protective. A seemingly innocent crystal, if used in the wrong context, can open the door to darker forces. Even symbols that appear benign on the surface, like certain geometric patterns or images associated with witchcraft, hold power that you might not fully understand. And then there are the cursed or haunted items. These objects are particularly dangerous, and their origins can range from dark rituals to tragic events. Haunted items are often passed off as just curiosities or collectibles, but the energy attached to them can be incredibly toxic. For instance, a piece of furniture that was once in a house where a crime took place, or an object that was cursed as part of a dark ritual, can carry lingering negative energy. When you bring something like this into your home, you might unknowingly invite spirits or curses to follow you. Now let's talk about gifts from strangers or unfamiliar sources. How often have you received a gift and simply accepted it with a smile, not considering where it came from or what it might represent? We often feel obligated to accept gifts, especially when they are given to us with good intentions. However, there are times when the object might not have pure intentions behind it. Whether it's a gift from someone with ill will or an item that has been in the possession of someone involved in dark practices. These gifts could carry hidden energies that you don't want in your home. Always question the source and the intent of a gift. What's behind it may not always be as innocent as it seems. Finally, there are objects that trigger negative emotions or memories. Think about the items that bring discomfort or sadness when you see them. It could be a picture, a piece of furniture, or something else that reminds you of a painful event or person. These items often carry emotional weight, and the energy attached to them can be just as powerful as physical objects tied to occult practices. Every time you see that object, you are reawakening that negative emotion, and it continues to affect you every time you. The problem with leaving such objects in your home is that they do not just stay neutral. They actively work to influence the environment, draining energy from your household and creating tension. You may notice a sudden shift in your mood, increased conflict with family members, or feelings of unrest. And the cause is often an object that's inviting dark spiritual forces into your life. Removing these items is the first step in reclaiming peace and purity for your home. Now let me remind you that it's not just about the objects themselves. The most important thing to realize here is that intention matters. It's not enough to simply remove an object from your home. You must also engage in the act of purification. Your intention to reclaim your space and protect your home from dark influences is what ultimately matters. If you are willing to make the commitment to removing these objects, you must also commit to renewing your environment spiritually and mentally, ensuring that you fill your space with positivity, love, and light. It is essential then to approach this process with vigilance, prayer, and action. By removing these objects from your home, you are not just clearing physical clutter, you are ridding your life of harmful spiritual influences. This is not something that happens overnight, but with dedication and conscious effort, you can protect your home and those you love from the unseen forces that wish to cause harm. As you embark on this journey of cleansing your home, remember that you have the power to shape the atmosphere around you. Every object in your home has the potential to affect you in ways both seen and unseen. By removing those that are dangerous, harmful, or spiritually compromising, you are taking control of your life, your family's well-being, and the peace of your home. Don't wait any longer. Look around you. Identify those items that don't belong. Remove them. And in doing so, open the door to peace, security, and spiritual protection. It's your home. It's your sanctuary. Take back control. Objects within a home can hold a deep spiritual influence that extends far beyond their physical form or utility. This influence, though often invisible, can shape the atmosphere of a home and impact the well-being of everyone who lives there. Whether we realize it or not, our possessions, the things we keep around us, are not just inanimate objects. They can carry energy, history, and in some cases, even spiritual power. This is particularly true for objects that have been associated with dark or negative energies, either through their origins, their use, or the symbolism they carry. The spiritual influence of objects stems from the fact that everything in our world is connected by energy. Everything, people, places, and things, vibrates at a certain frequency. While most everyday items may not seem to hold any special energy, some objects have been created or used in ways that imbue them with spiritual significance. These objects, particularly those associated with specific cultural, historical, or spiritual practices, can carry energies that are not immediately visible but have a profound effect on our surroundings. In certain cases, objects can act as conduits for spiritual forces, both positive and negative. When we talk about spiritual influence, it is essential to understand that not all objects are inherently neutral. Objects like charms, amulets, and statues that originate from occult practices or ancient rituals can carry with them energies from those practices. These objects are not just physical items, they are tied to belief systems, rituals, and energies that may have been associated with dark or harmful intention. For instance, an idol or statue used in a ritualistic setting, such as in witchcraft or in the worship of a deity associated with darkness, can hold that energy long after the ritual has passed. While the object itself may appear harmless or even beautiful, the spiritual residue left behind can be potent enough to influence the environment of your home. In addition to these specific objects, anything with strong symbolic ties can also carry a spiritual charge. Symbols are powerful conduits of energy. For example, certain shapes, like pentagrams or other symbols associated with the occult, carry significant energy simply because they have been historically used in rituals or practices that seek to harness spiritual power. Even objects that appear to be harmless on the surface, such as crystals, can be imbued with energies based on their cultural use. Crystals, when used in the wrong context, can serve as tools for spiritual manipulation or even invite unwanted entities if they have been used in occult practices. Objects that are passed down through generations can also carry a spiritual influence, though this is often less obvious. Heirlooms, antiques, or any item with historical significance might have absorbed the energies of the people who owned them or the events they witnessed. The emotional residue of past owners, especially those who experience trauma, pain, or negative emotions, can attach itself to these items. This residue is not just emotional, it can be spiritual. A family heirloom passed down from someone who experienced tragedy may carry the lingering feelings of that person's suffering, subtly affecting the atmosphere of the home. In some cases, an object may carry memories of more sinister occurrences, such as violence or betrayal, and these energies can seep into the present, influencing the home's spiritual atmosphere. Even more subtle than the items themselves are the ways in which they can impact the people who live with them. Often individuals will notice a sense of unease or discomfort without fully understanding why. They might feel drained, irritable, or even experience a decline in their emotional or mental well-being. This is not just a coincidence. These objects, especially if they carry negative energy, can manifest in various ways. Negative energy can cause a pervasive sense of tension, anxiety, or sadness in the home. It may cause disturbances in relationships, conflict, or a sense of spiritual disconnection. The reason why certain objects can influence people in such a way has to do with the energy they emit. Energy is not confined to people or specific spiritual practices. It permeates everything. Everything we come into contact with carries an energetic imprint, and these imprints can either contribute to harmony or discord. The objects in our home, particularly those we are most connected to or that hold deep personal meaning, can either enhance our lives or detract from our spiritual health. Objects tied to negativity, whether they're associated with specific practices or have absorbed the energy of previous owners, can start to affect the spiritual balance in ways that are subtle but deeply impactful. One of the most common mistakes people make is assuming that an object's physical appearance is the only thing that matters. They might look at an object, see it as beautiful or intriguing, and bring it into their home without considering its energetic properties. The spiritual influence of these objects can go unnoticed until the negative effects start to manifest in the form of mental, emotional, or even physical symptoms. People may begin to feel restless, find that their relationships are under strain, or experience inexplicable bouts of sadness or anger. These symptoms often arise because the energy of the objects around them is out of alignment with the peace and positive energy that their home should radiate. In the end, the spiritual influence of objects in your home is a reminder that our environment plays a powerful role in shaping our lives. It's not just about the physical comfort of a home, it's about the spiritual harmony that exists within it. By being aware of the potential spiritual influence of certain objects, we can make more intentional decisions about what we allow into our homes. Understanding that objects can carry energy, both positive and negative, empowers us to take control of our environment and ensure that it is a space where peace, healing, and spiritual growth can thrive. Many objects we keep in our homes, whether it's something we've received as a gift, purchased out of curiosity, or inherited from a previous generation, may seem harmless at first glance, yet unbeknownst to us, these everyday items could be hiding something far more dangerous. They could be harboring dark spiritual energies that were unintentionally invited into our lives. The dangers in these objects often lie not in their outward appearance or their intended use, but in the history, rituals, and energies they've absorbed. Hidden dangers lurk in places we least expect, and these objects can have a profound influence on the spiritual atmosphere of our homes. One of the most insidious aspects of hidden spiritual dangers in objects is how easily we can overlook them. We may bring home an item with good intentions, thinking it's just a piece of art or a decorative item, only to later find that it carries a weight far heavier than its physical form. These objects can carry with them spiritual influences or energies from the rituals, practices, or even the environments in which they were made. Items from cultures with different spiritual beliefs or practices can unknowingly introduce negative energies into a home, especially if they were created or used in dark or occult rituals. For instance, a statue from a foreign market, an antique charm, or even a gift from a friend who may have participated in practices or rituals you are unaware of, can introduce spiritual elements into your home. These items may have been crafted or used for specific purposes that had ties to spiritual or occult practices. If an item, no matter how innocuous it may seem, has been involved in ritualistic activities, its presence in your home can act as a bridge, opening doors to otherworldly influences. These objects aren't necessarily cursed, but they have absorbed the energies of their origins, often those of darkness, mystery, or malevolent intent. Another example of hidden dangers in everyday objects are those that come from cultures or traditions that involve practices outside the norm of our understanding. Items such as dream catchers, charms, or ritual tools are sometimes used with the intention of protecting or warding off evil. While they may appear harmless if they were used in their original contexts, with a spiritual or occult purpose, they carry energy tied to those practices. Even if the intention of the person who brought the object into their home was not to invite harm, the energy associated with the item may still affect the household in ways that can't be seen on the surface. The real danger lies in how the spiritual energies in these objects can affect the people living in the home. People often overlook how the things they surround themselves with can contribute to their mood, emotional state, and even their spiritual health. The fact is, some objects can alter the spiritual atmosphere of a space, causing an environment that feels unsettling or uneasy. For example, a person might bring home a figurine or artifact without realizing that it was used in a specific ritual or has been imbued with the energy of its previous owner, someone who may have been involved in dark practices or who lived in a space with negative energy. Over time, that object can affect the spiritual harmony of the home, creating an atmosphere filled with unexplainable tension, restlessness, or negativity. These objects can even subtly change the mental and emotional state of the individuals who live with them. The presence of certain items, especially those tied to spiritual practices with negative connotations, can cause feelings of anxiety, anger, sadness, or confusion. Often these feelings arise without an obvious cause. It's not just a coincidence. The energy carried by an object, whether it's an idol, an antique, or an unfamiliar gift, has the potential to create an environment that disrupts the natural flow of positive energy within the home. This disruption can manifest in many forms, from physical discomfort to strained relationships between family members or roommates. Even the mere presence of an object in the home can start to create a shift in the mood of those living there, as they unconsciously pick up on the negative energy that the object carries. The danger of these hidden influences lies not only in their ability to cause emotional or mental disturbances, but in their ability to open spiritual doors. Often people are unaware of the unseen effects certain objects can have, and as a result, they allow them to remain in their homes. These objects, through their symbolic or ritualistic ties, can create a bridge to darker spiritual forces. In essence, the object becomes a doorway, and the longer it remains in the home, the more that doorway is opened. It is not necessarily that the objects themselves are evil, but their origins and the intentions behind them can create an opening for negative spiritual influences to enter, affecting the household in ways that are often difficult to pinpoint. What makes the hidden dangers even more problematic is how they can be completely undetectable at first. You may bring an item into your home with no idea of its significance or origin. It could be an object that was passed down to you, or something you bought on a trip or received as a gift. It could even be something seemingly benign, like a trinket from a foreign culture. But if it has ties to a negative practice, a dark ritual, or a harmful belief system, the energies it carries will eventually make their presence felt. It's often only after time has passed that the negative effects begin to reveal themselves, whether in the form of strained relationships, persistent negative emotions, or an overall sense of discomfort that cannot be easily explained. The important lesson here is that the energy we allow into our homes through the objects we keep can either enhance or undermine the spiritual harmony of our living spaces. Just as light can illuminate a room, negative energy can fill a home with darkness and disharmony. This is why it is essential to carefully examine the objects we keep in our homes, to be aware of their origins, and to assess whether they contribute positively to the environment we are cultivating. Objects that carry hidden spiritual dangers can be deceptive in their outward appearance and seemingly innocent nature, making it crucial to approach the items in our homes with a discerning eye, recognizing that not everything that looks harmless is free of potentially harmful energies. Every object in our home can carry a certain level of symbolic meaning, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally tied to a belief system, a tradition, or a set of values. This symbolism has power. While we may often think of objects purely in practical or aesthetic terms, something to use, something to display, or something to give meaning to a space, the symbols attached to these objects can influence our environment in ways we cannot easily perceive. Symbols themselves are charged with energy, and the way we use, display, or interact with them can either strengthen positive energies or invite negative influences. This is especially true when the symbolism tied to the objects in our homes relates to dark or harmful forces, which can have a subtle yet profound effect on the atmosphere and spiritual health of our space. The influence of symbols is deeply rooted in human history and culture. Different symbols carry different meanings based on the context in which they are used, and some of these meanings carry with them spiritual and metaphysical weight. In many cultures and spiritual traditions, symbols are seen as representations of higher truths or forces, whether these forces are benevolent or malevolent. For instance, a cross might symbolize faith and protection in one context, while a pentagram might symbolize occult practices in another. While the cross may be a universally recognized symbol of protection in certain religious contexts, a pentagram, especially when displayed in a particular manner or with specific intentions, may invite negative energies or spiritual forces associated with witchcraft or other occult practices. Even symbols that seem neutral or benign, such as certain geometric shapes or even common imagery like eyes, animals, or shapes, can carry energies associated with protection, prosperity, or conversely with negative spiritual forces. The key factor here is the context and the purpose for which the symbol is used. For example, a symbol like an eye, used for protection or as a symbol of spiritual enlightenment, can have a very different energy than the same symbol used in a context related to dark magic or occult worship. In these cases, the symbolic meaning shifts, and so does the energy that the object or symbol radiates. The power of symbolism lies in its ability to influence the mind and spirit in ways that are often unconscious. We may display an object, like a charm or a decorative piece, without fully understanding the history or meaning behind it. What we often don't realize is that symbols have a profound psychological impact on us. Our minds are wired to pick up on the meanings attached to these symbols, and our subconscious can react to them in ways that influence our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. A symbol representing evil or negativity, for instance, may subtly alter our perception of our environment, shifting the way we feel or think without us even realizing it. Objects that are associated with specific symbols can also act as anchors for certain types of spiritual energy. Just as a person can be influenced by the energy of a space, so too can objects in that space be influenced by the energy of the people around them. When we bring an object into our home, we bring not only the object, but also the energy and symbolism it carries. If we bring something into our home that symbolizes something dark or harmful, whether intentionally or not, it becomes a vessel for that energy, and that energy can take root in our living space. For example, a figurine of a deity associated with destruction or chaos may bring with it energies that disrupt harmony in the home, affecting relationships, moods, or overall spiritual well-being. Symbols can also have a magnetic effect, drawing certain energies into a space. When we display a symbol tied to positive forces, such as a symbol of peace, love, or protection, we may attract more of those energies into our home. However, when we display symbols that are associated with dark forces, we can inadvertently open the door to negative spiritual influences. A common example of this is the use of certain charms or amulets that are said to protect the wearer from evil spirits or bad luck. While the charm may seem like a tool for good, its origins or associations with occult practices or dark rituals can attract harmful energies instead, ultimately leaving the home vulnerable to unwanted spiritual forces. The context in which a symbol is displayed also matters greatly. For example, a symbol intended for protection might carry positive energy in one culture, but if it is used in another context, especially one linked to dark rituals, the energy associated with the symbol may change. This is why a symbol that may be considered harmless in one person's eyes might pose a significant risk to another person's home or spiritual well-being. The meaning and energy attached to a symbol can shift depending on how it is used and what kind of intentions are behind it. People often bring objects with strong symbolic meanings into their homes without fully understanding the consequences. They may believe that an object's physical presence is merely decorative, when in reality, the energy associated with its symbolism can influence the household in profound ways. The presence of certain symbols in your home, whether they're in the form of artwork, jewelry, or other decorative items, can either amplify the energies you wish to cultivate or invite those you wish to avoid. For example, someone who brings home a seemingly innocent piece of jewelry featuring a symbol of ancient rituals might unknowingly bring in spiritual energy tied to those rituals. Similarly, certain decorative items that are tied to negative spiritual practices can invite dark energy into the home, affecting the overall atmosphere and even the well-being of the people living there. It's essential to recognize that symbolism in objects doesn't just affect us consciously, it also operates at a subconscious level. Symbols trigger emotions, thoughts, and even beliefs that influence the spiritual health of a home. For instance, a person who wears an item with negative symbolism might unknowingly expose themselves to harmful spiritual energy, while an object with a positive symbol can provide protection and attract good energies. Ultimately, the symbols we choose to surround ourselves with shape the energy that fills our spaces. This is why it is so important to carefully consider the symbolism attached to the objects in our homes, as these symbols hold the power to impact our lives in ways we may not even realize. Our personal connection to objects within our home can deeply affect the environment we live in. Objects tied to emotional or personal significance often carry an energy that's unique to the experiences and memories they are associated with. These items may not seem dangerous or harmful at first glance, but the emotional baggage they carry can subtly influence the spiritual and emotional atmosphere of our living spaces. The significance we attach to objects, whether through sentimental value, past experiences, or the emotions they stir, can transform them into powerful vessels of energy, which, if associated with negative or traumatic experiences, may have a profound impact on our home and mental well-being. One of the primary ways in which emotionally charged objects affect us is through their ability to anchor us to the past. While memories are an essential part of who we are, constantly being surrounded by objects tied to painful or unresolved events can keep us trapped in a cycle of negative emotions. Items such as family heirlooms, photographs, or personal mementos that are linked to grief, loss, betrayal, or conflict may evoke feelings of sadness, anger, or regret. These emotions, when consistently triggered by the presence of such objects, can distort the energy in a home, creating an environment where peace and tranquility are difficult to find. The energy of these objects doesn't just stay in the past. It often lingers in the present, affecting the overall mood and harmony of the space. For example, an object like an old family photograph might seem innocuous at first, but it can carry with it a heavy emotional charge if it represents a time of hardship or pain. Similarly, a gift or keepsake from a past relationship that ended poorly might continually remind you of unresolved emotions, creating an emotional block that affects your current state of mind. Over time, these unresolved emotions can create an oppressive atmosphere within the home. as the space becomes infused with the lingering energy of past hurts, disappointments, or trauma. The home, which should ideally be a place of refuge and renewal, becomes instead a container for unresolved issues, making it harder for the individuals living there to move forward. Not only can these emotionally charged objects trigger negative feelings, but they can also serve as a constant reminder of personal challenges or wounds that have not yet been healed. The more we dwell on past hurts or hold on to items that represent those painful experiences, the more energy we give to them. This energy doesn't just stay locked within the object itself, it spreads throughout the home, affecting the emotional and spiritual atmosphere. People may begin to feel weighed down, irritable, or even stagnant, as if they are being held back by the past. The energy of these objects then becomes a form of spiritual clutter, a type of emotional baggage that clouds the atmosphere and prevents the flow of positive energy. Another aspect of emotionally charged objects is their ability to tie us to specific memories or people, which may not always be helpful or healthy. When we are constantly reminded of someone or something, it can prevent us from truly moving forward in life. Items that remind us of a painful relationship, an unpleasant chapter of our lives, or an unresolved trauma can serve as anchors that pull us back into those negative experiences, rather than allowing us to release them and heal. This is why certain objects, even if they are tied to people we once loved or experiences we once cherished, can still have a negative effect. They represent a time or a part of us that no longer serves our emotional or spiritual growth. These objects, rather than helping us honor memories, can instead create a barrier between us and the present moment, clouding our ability to fully embrace peace, joy, and personal growth. The energy of emotional attachment is particularly strong because it is often linked to the heart and subconscious mind. Our emotions are powerful forces that influence our thoughts, actions, and interactions with others. When we hold on to objects that carry the emotional weight of past experiences, whether positive or negative, we are essentially tethering ourselves to those feelings. While some emotional attachments may be uplifting or comforting, others can be toxic or restrictive. The key lies in understanding which objects are serving to nurture our well-being and which ones are keeping us stuck in emotional patterns that no longer serve us. The longer we allow these items to remain in our home, the stronger the energetic imprint they leave behind. These emotionally charged objects don't only affect our feelings, they can also manifest physically. For instance, people living with such objects may start to feel physically drained or overwhelmed by the emotions associated with them. The atmosphere of the home can become heavy, as if the walls themselves are filled with the energy of past sorrow or trauma. This emotional and spiritual weight can lead to physical discomfort, stress, and even illness, as the body reacts to the energy it's constantly exposed to. Over time, this accumulation of negative energy can make it difficult to feel relaxed or at ease in the home, which is supposed to be a sanctuary for rest and renewal. It is also important to note that these emotionally charged objects can have an impact on the relationships between the people living in the home. If multiple people are exposed to the same objects, they may each react differently to the energy that the items carry. For example, a family member might feel more connected to a particular object due to a shared memory, while another person might feel a sense of discomfort or unease when in its presence. These differing emotional responses can create tension or conflict in the household, as individuals might not understand why they feel the way they do about certain objects. This can lead to misunderstandings and emotional friction, further complicating the spiritual and emotional harmony of the home. Ultimately, the objects we choose to keep in our homes can either nurture or disrupt our emotional and spiritual health. When these objects are tied to negative or unresolved emotions, they can create an environment that keeps us tethered to the past, preventing us from embracing the peace and renewal that our homes should provide. By becoming more aware of the emotional energy attached to the things around us, we can begin to make intentional choices about what we allow into our living spaces. Letting go of objects that carry negative emotional baggage is a vital step in clearing out the spiritual clutter, making space for healing, and restoring the peace and tranquility that every home deserves. As we reflect on the hidden dangers that can lurk in the objects around us, it becomes clear that our homes, the spaces where we seek refuge and peace, can also be influenced by energies we may not even recognize. From symbolic objects tied to harmful spiritual forces to emotionally charged items that anchor us to past pain, we must remain vigilant about what we allow into our living spaces. The energy of an object, whether it is tied to dark rituals, negative emotions, or unresolved experiences, has the potential to alter the atmosphere of our homes, affecting not only our personal well-being, but also the relationships we hold dear. It is essential to consciously examine the objects around us, to understand the energy they carry, and to remove anything that disrupts the harmony of our environment. Our homes should be places of peace, growth, and positive energy, where we can nurture our spirits and rebuild our strength. By removing objects that may have harmful or negative associations, we make space for healing, renewal, and the positive energy that will help us move forward in our lives. Thank you for taking the time to explore this important topic. May you be blessed with clarity and the strength to take charge of your environment, creating a home that is filled with light, love, and tranquility. Good luck on your journey toward a space of peace. And remember that the power to transform your home and your life lies within your hands. Thank you once again for your attention and commitment to making your living space a sanctuary.